What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into this bonus episode of the X Button Gaming Podcast. As you can tell from the intro, this is obviously a little different than normal. We are going to be talking about a little bit of an announcement that happened here recently. Nintendo started off the year strong with a big announcement. Yes, that's right. They announced the Lego Game Boy is coming out the end of the year, and we wanted to dedicate a whole episode to talk about this huge reveal.
Heck yes!
You know,
I'm actually pretty stoked for that Lego Game Boy. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm excited to see it revealed. So.
I might buy one. I didn't buy the NES, but a Game Boy is a little more appealing to me for some reason in Lego form. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Jokes aside, obviously they did have a very big start to the year for 2025, and that is that they finally showed off the first visual representation for the Switch. Not Switch Super, not Switch XL, not Switch Pro. It's the sequel. It's the Switch 2.
Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, I know. I was partial to Super Nintendo Switch, but I mean, I get why they made the decision they did.
Yeah, I would have, man, that would have been pretty cool. And then they should have done it all Super Nintendo themed. That gray and purple tone with the dark grays too. That would have been money right there. But
that would have been confusing at all, you know? No, not at all.
Super Nintendo Switch U. Really confuse everybody.
Is this just a Super NES Mini 2? What's going on here?
That has a Wii U gamepad?
Yeah.
No, but obviously everybody knew that this was coming eventually. Like, believe it or not, it has been almost 8 years since the Switch came out. I mean, we're past 8 years since their initial reveal of the Switch and their investor meeting reveal of it as well. But March 3rd, 2017, right? 2017, yeah. It was the day the Switch came out worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So we're almost at 8 years, and we're finally getting a follow-up. And this, I think the Switch is a unique system too, because whereas like a PlayStation or an Xbox successor, obviously people are always excited for the next one, but it's never like it is with Nintendo because, I mean, the advancement from PS3 to PS4 and 4 to 5 has been minimal, and not everybody upgrades day one. But with Nintendo, you're always excited about the possibility of, you know, Nintendo doing their thing. But also the Switch has been a little outdated since 2017. So, the idea of an upgrade has been something people have been excited about for a long time.
Yeah, that did not take long.
No.
We've been looking forward to. People have been speculating about a Switch 2 since probably literally like 2018 or 2019, almost since the thing was launched.
For sure. Like I remember Switch Pro, people talking about that right away because of the big games coming out that people were saying there's no way it'll run on the Switch, which in a lot of cases was obviously true. But over time, we also saw a lot of developers and publishers really push the Switch hardware to its limits and actually put out some pretty high quality stuff that maybe wasn't as good as its counterparts on, you know, the PC or Xbox or PlayStation, but still was impressive, and you could play it on the go, which was obviously the Switch's big gimmick. Well, yeah, I remember early in the Switch's life, different game developers basically straight up saying like, oh yeah, our game will never come to Switch because there's just no way the Switch can run our impressive games. I don't remember the guy's name. The dude who did the Borderlands games. I want to say it's Cliff something or another.
Oh yeah, I don't remember the guy's name either.
But I remember he was one of the ones that was like, oh yeah, no, Borderlands will never be on the Switch. No way. And then what's on the Switch? Borderlands. Even Borderlands 3, which wasn't out at the time, is out on the Switch now.
I remember that one Doom game that was pretty visually impressive that launched, almost simultaneously with Animal Crossing, and so it was kind of like a Barbenheimer experience where people were like advertising Animal Crossing and Doom at the same time, which
Doom
are
and
obviously
Crossing.
Two very different tones.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, I mean that was a big thing though. Is like there was some developers out there that figured out how to do it, and that I want to say that was Panic Button, was the company that did the Doom port,
Oh,
and they also did some other really impressive stuff. Like I think they did. We didn't do a lot of research for this, so I'm just throwing things out here, and I might be wrong, but I want to say they did Rocket League, and they did something else that was a big release for the Switch too. Like
I love Rocket League.
yeah, they made some stuff work that people didn't think would work on the Switch.
Yeah, there were just third-party ports you did not expect to get, and they were honestly often pretty impressive. They performed pretty well. They were very playable, if not sometimes definitive versions in some cases.
Yeah.
Though they're admittedly often older third-party games, but
Yep. So obviously we're not here to just talk about the the Switch,
yeah,
but it's impossible to talk about a successor to the Switch without talking a little bit about the Switch.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and just get right into, anybody who's listening to this probably wants to hear some thoughts on the Switch 2 reveal trailer. And I don't know about you, James, but I've watched it. Oh, I
Oh, yeah.
never even introduced us. So as always, I'm your host, Chris. And
this was a very long preamble.
yeah, and yeah, Jimmy's back here again with me for as per the semi-usual.
Hello, everyone.
So anyway, like I was saying, James, I watched the trailer probably 5-6 times at this point, maybe more. Just kind of like, first off, the sound effects and the music are kind of like relaxing. It's got that ASMR vibe.
Yeah, pretty catchy, pretty poppy, just like kind of fun and a little bit of a whimsical Nintendo flavor.
For sure. And you couldn't hear it, but once the episode comes out, I did play like the opening, like the sound effects and stuff, and got into the music a little bit. I assume Nintendo will never hear this, so I probably won't get any cease and desist letters. But if I do, I'll feel like I made it. So,
Dude, hey, you can only hope. Man.
Listen to this before I have to take it down, guys.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the soundtrack and then the sound effects they used in the trailer, like I thought it was funny that they kind of opened it up with just like ambient noise for what was like at least 5 seconds, and like the Nintendo Switch 1 obviously was just sitting there, and like I half expected them to just like throw the bird at everyone and be like, there will be no announcement of the Nintendo Switch successor in this trailer or something, like I was half expecting them to be like, screw you guys, you ruined it for some people and we hate you.
Yeah, we're going to take longer now just because we can.
Yeah, this is coming out 2030.
Yeah. You can keep playing your broken Switches. Enjoy your drift.
Yeah, drift for days.
But yeah, so the trailer was I'm just going to put it out there. It wasn't the most exciting thing. My first watch of it, I woke up and it had already been out for probably a couple hours at that point. I don't know when it dropped officially. Sure. But I managed to like put together really quickly by just some chatter that it had happened. So I looked for the trailer, watched it, and was kind of like, I mean, yay, I'm excited to Switch 2, but wasn't that impressed at first. But as I rewatched it a couple times, it got the hype ball rolling a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, James, what did you think of the trailer outside of the sound effects that we've talked about?
I liked it, man. Like, I'm with you. Like, my first watch of it was around somewhere in the 5 a.m. Hour when the video was released, because I don't know, for some reason I got up in the middle of the night to use the restroom and I saw that Joel had posted the video on Discord. What's he doing up that early? Is he working? What are you doing, Joel?
Yeah, I think he goes to work early like a responsible adult.
Good man. Well, yeah, thanks to him I saw the video. Otherwise I would have gone right back to sleep. But yeah, my first watch was like cool. I wasn't like super blown away, but like, I think most people that listen to this podcast, a lot of people that are tapped into video game culture, especially Nintendo culture, they've heard about the supposed leaks and what it's going to be or what they thought it was going to be at the time, and so we weren't totally caught off guard. Very little came as a surprise, but like, yeah, I agree. Like on rewatching it, like I've watched it a handful of times now, probably close to 10, because I wanted to get it like locked in my mind before we talked about it, but I'm just more and more excited the more I watch it. It's not surprising, but what's there, they created questions. They gave some answers, not many, because we had some of those answers already. Like we already had the test answers basically for this pop quiz, but like they created more questions. I feel like that we will only be satisfied once we get to that direct they announced. So.
I think it's interesting because they've definitely shown as of right now, they're all in on the Switch. Like
Oh yeah.
this is where the future of Nintendo is for now. This is the first time in Nintendo's, whatever, 30, what year is it? Basically 40-year history in console making,
Sure.
that there hasn't been a vast change to the controller. There
Yeah.
hasn't been like a huge jump in some level of innovation. You might not be able to say that between the NES and the Super Nintendo, but the
Yeah,
Nintendo to the
yeah.
64 was huge, both in graphical and then the analog stick. And
That is
then
true. That is
every
true.
every jump after that was at least somewhat momentous for one thing or another. I guess GameCube was another smaller one, but
Yeah.
the Wii, obviously, with the motion support, the Wii U with the gamepad, and the idea of separating console from TV, and opening up the way you could play, and then the Switch being, what it is, and being able to separate completely from your TV. Nintendo basically fusing their two markets of handheld and console gaming together into
Yeah.
one, I don't know, giant conglomeration, basically. And
For sure.
it seems like they know this is what works, and they're going to stick with it for now.
Yeah, and can you blame them honestly? Like they're nearly the best-selling console of all time. There are some that believe they will get there, although the PS2's set a very, very high mark, and that mark might even get higher based on their track record. But I mean, come on, it's been a runaway success. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what, I mean, I don't know if you were going to talk about what the hype was like for the original Switch. Like I think we experience this
Our,
differently
our
as we've
memory
gone
is
over before.
obviously not the
Yeah,
same.
our experiences were different for sure, and our expectations, I think, were definitely different. But the hype for this, like you said, 8 years in the making, was massive, right? So like people's expectations were out of control, and then on top of that, like basically the hardware is totally spoiled for the most part with leaks, which is
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate. So I thought a couple years ago, I was like, the hype is already too high. Like, no matter what they do, no matter what they reveal, people are gonna kind of be like, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
a little underwhelmed because, like you said, this is the first time they've really just like the first time they slapped a two on something, right? And started iterating a console, right, in the way that like PlayStation does, or the way that even like an iPhone does, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
so, like you said, expectations when something comes out new for those are usually lower.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I expected the reaction to be for this. And you see that somewhat, but like honestly, it could just be my algorithm on Twitter or what the things I follow. But I get the feeling that the majority of people are pretty happy with this, um, if not just like content. Like this is what we wanted.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is the landscape has changed some since 2017 when the Switch came out.
Hmm.
Nintendo used to kind of be able to get away with completely reinventing the wheel with every console and not letting things be backwards compatible, and just starting fresh each time. And with the way the things have gone since especially since the pandemic, there's been a huge change from physical to digital media,
Hmm.
which obviously doesn't always have to affect things, but the way Nintendo's proven in the past, it does affect their consoles
Yeah.
a lot of times. But also, handheld console gaming has come a long way.
Hmm.
Obviously, the Steam Deck being the huge proponent to that, but there's all I don't that's not a market I'm super like in oh my gosh, super knowledgeable about, but there
Sure.
is all kinds of different like PC handhelds now that you can
Yeah.
play basically like a lot of top tier games on the go.
Hmm.
So like Nintendo didn't necessarily need to change or come up with a new gimmick or do any of that. They just needed to keep the Switch present with the now. They
Yes.
needed to be able to play new games.
Yeah.
Basically, they need to be able to continue to get third party support, because even though the majority of people come to Nintendo for Mario Kart, Pokemon, Zelda, whatever,
For
they're
sure.
if they want to get that extra boon in sales, they need third party support still. And
Yeah.
this was honestly the smartest move to do that. This, like you said, the Switch is already a runaway success. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows that. You don't have to worry about winning over all these big publishers anymore when you're just sticking with what works but making it better.
Yeah. It feels like the Switch was a culmination of, like we said, decades of Nintendo efforts to like like we always talk about Nintendo being innovative, but like I feel like Nintendo is better known as being like a company that makes games accessible, right? Like they kind of defined for the common person, the lay person back in the 80s, what console gaming was, you know, like I guess unless you had an Atari or something, but they kind of made it popular. They kind of made it cool, you know, with Mario and etc. And then like they brought 3D to the masses, or to a large segment of people with the 64. But even before that, right? Like Game Boy came out, right? So they were trying to make it more convenient, more accessible, more like just a matter of convenience. And I feel like the Switch became like a culmination of all those things: innovation, accessibility, and just being convenient to use, to take it anywhere. They, like you said, they finally brought it into one system, and they didn't have to redefine the wheel this time, right? They kind of, Nintendo is used to kind of trend setting and setting like the benchmark for what video game consoles should do, you know. But like, and they did that with the Switch One. Like you said, that's why there's so many shoot offs and imitations and other companies trying to, you know, ride the coattails and do their own thing, you know, like Steam Deck, etc., to their own success. But yeah, what if it's broken? If it's not broken, don't fix it. And they didn't need to this time. And even so, like we watched the trailer, like it still had some of that Nintendo flair. It had some of that Nintendo innovation and twist that you'd expect in a console from them, I think.
Yeah, it is true. And talking about that trailer a little bit more, like obviously a lot of it does just kind of look like bigger Switch, you know, like bigger screen, bigger Joy-Cons. They obviously, I don't know the term here, but they've changed it from the slide on rails to some level of like like pop in like Joy-Con.
Yeah, like they haven't even themselves said it's magnetic. We're all just assuming that because that's what the public has decided and what apparently has been leaked, but
yeah,
they haven't themselves said this is magnetic, you know, like I don't know.
And then they've you can't even say they updated the kickstand, because it's very much so like the kickstand on the OLED. But yeah, the Joy-Cons seem like they have some changes, and like this is not something I know a lot about, but I've seen a lot of people talking about the little I don't know what it's called. It has a technical name, but the little sensor on the Joy-Con that will double as a mouse, like the infrared thing on a mouse.
Optical sensor or something. I don't know. I don't even know either. I'm not a tech guy.
yeah,
or a mouse guy for that matter.
If you want tech specs and like all that kind of speculation, you're in the wrong spot. But like the concept, if that is what that actually is, the concept is cool, and it could open up a lot of different possibilities for a lot of PC ports. And like I would love to be. I'm not a PC gamer for no major reason other than I don't have a PC. I've never really had one, and I just kind of like my console setups. But I would like the opportunity to play some like real-time strategy games and stuff. Like I just use StarCraft as an example, but like with that mouse and keyboard feel, it would be cool to have that officially on consoles. I'm not sure that's what's actually going to happen with it, but it would be cool if this worked as such a good like imitation of a mouse that they could do stuff like that. Or even controlling Pikmin and stuff would be easier with the mouse.
Dude, there's just so many. Like that's what I'm saying, right? Like they confirmed a rumored a leak basically that there was a mouse feature attached to the Joy-Con. You know, that wasn't a surprise, but man, they show it off in this trailer, and like it just creates so many questions, so many possibilities. And I felt like this part of the trailer was the most Nintendo part of it, right? Like this is the, in quotes, gimmick. If you're looking for a gimmick, if you're looking for something weird and cute, like in Nintendo, for lack of better words, this was it. This mouse thing.
Yeah.
Like I loved the way they demonstrated it in the trailer, dude. Like they showed both Joy-Cons gliding on like, I guess obviously a smooth surface, but a la a mouse. The Joy-Con even had like the Joy-Con straps for obviously like the tails of the mice or whatever. I don't know if people say mice for
mouses.
Mouse and interesting. But like they even like we talked about the sound effects, but like you could you could hear them like skating or what, for lack of better words. Like there were like a skating type of sound effect. Like I couldn't tell if it was like ice skating or skateboarding, but it kind of had that like that tactile sound to it, you know?
Hmm.
Just very cool, very cute, very Nintendo, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely. And just talking about the Joy Cons as well, like it does. You have to hope that they showed the analog sticks obviously look like they have more of a complete 360 rotation. It looks a little cleaner. Maybe that was their way of trying to say like, oh, these analog sticks are better. They won't drift.
Absolutely. Like they zoomed in on it and like did like multiple rotations. They're
Yeah.
like, don't worry about drift. That was a clear message to me. Like,
Yeah, I think that will be one thing that everybody's concerned about, and that I think a widespread thing is, and I actually don't fall into this category, but everybody, no, not everybody, a lot of people seem to hate the Joy Cons, where I actually kind of like the ease of use of them. Like, I'm not talking about when they're attached to the Switch itself, like they're not the most comfortable, but when you're playing the Switch docked or set up with the kickstand or whatever, tabletop mode, I guess, and you have the Joy Cons just separate. Like I like that feeling of I'll never forget in the Switch investor meeting or whatever it was where they showed off for the first time like in detail how the Switch was working, and they had all the games playing and stuff. One of the Nintendo people, I don't remember who, I remember him laying on a couch with one Joy-Con in both hands, just laying there like lounging, like demonstrating like this is how this is the chill vibe that you'll have with the Switch when you're playing with Joy-Cons. And like I do that a lot. Like I do, like I'll sit in my chair and when I have the Switch hooked up to a dock, if I don't feel like using a Pro controller, like it is probably one of my most comfortable ways to play, because I obviously we all like having a controller in our hand from time to time, but there is something to be said about just like taking the Joy-Cons and just chilling with them.
like very underrated that you can, yeah, you can be on your side. You could be, I don't know, hanging from the ceiling upside down playing with Joy-Cons because they're that easy to control. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like
that sounds convenient to me.
I'm just saying, like, whereas like doing that and having to hold like a, a massive dual sense, for example,
Yeah.
cumbersome
And beautiful.
Yeah, dude,
get out of here.
I agree with you. Like the Joy-Con is a really cool concept that hasn't quite been perfected yet. It's not comfortable for everyone, but again, they're trying to appeal to everyone, right? That's what Nintendo does. They appealed to casual gamers and, people that consider themselves actual gamers,
Maybe we'll use the term more hardcore gamers.
hardcore gamers.
Because you just said casual gamers and actual gamers. That
more yeah, I didn't. Can we go back and delete that? Yeah, that's more politically correct. I don't mean to be condescending at all. All gamers are gamers, etc., etc. But yeah, right. Like Joy-Cons have not been perfected yet, and I hope I don't know if this will be the time where we feel that that's the case, but a good start would be with no drift. However, they were drifting in this trailer. That was a clear a message they were trying to send. Hannah sent me this picture of some of the comments, a screenshot of some of the comments she was reading, like just below the YouTube video of the trailer, and one of her favorite ones was this guy goes, Switch, talking about the Switch 1, Switch, they drift, and Switch 2, they drift. Like like it's exciting.
see, super fun.
I don't know. It's very interesting, dude. And I don't know if you noticed, but in that part of the trailer, when they lift off the ground, off the surface, there was clearly like an attachment, I think, or a peripheral or something on the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons that I'm assuming is to glide or to use the mouse feature when you're playing games or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw something flip off. Like, watch it again. I saw something come off when you watch the. Are you watching it right now?
Yeah, I have it. So I'm on my laptop, so I'm kind of watching it as we record. Yeah, I see it. But it looks like it left behind the Joy-Con straps. Like it pops off of those, but they might not just be normal Joy-Con straps.
Maybe. Yeah,
it's hard to say.
The Joy-Con. What are they called? Are they called the gliders or the sliders that were on the last to like hold them more comfortably? The Joy-Cons on the Switch 1.
I think they were called straps.
It's just straps.
Weren't they just called Joy-Con straps?
I don't know what the name are for them, but maybe they found a way to turn those into, I don't know, the apparatus with which to turn your Joy-Con into a mouse, or for whatever you're going to use them for. I guess we'll see.
That is interesting. And then when I'm looking at it closer on that app, that whatever we'll call that apparatus, it has like a button at the front. It might be a sensor. It's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
you see something coming off. You see something.
oh, and I know
off, right?
exactly what you're talking. Like they fly off of it before they fly it back onto the Switch.
Yeah, before we first see them actually click in magnetically to the Switch, and then they show us the big two. Yeah, like it definitely disconnects from something. It's like a rocket going into space when they dump the extra cargo they don't need. You know,
exactly
kind of like that. But dude, like this got me thinking. As an old school Nintendo fan, like there is already been precedence for like mouse and I don't know, mouse pad, right? Like they had that with the Super Nintendo, remember?
Yeah, no, obviously.
And it was very early.
Mario Paint was great.
Yeah, I know. Like if it's a completely missed opportunity if they don't do something like Mario Paint too.
Yeah,
and
I agree. I want that fly swatting mini game back in my life,
dude. And the song too is so good. Oh man, it's just so catchy. No, that game was fun, dude. And like I feel like this mouse, I don't know. I can't wait to see what they name it. I'm sure it'll be something funny and cute and catchy. But the mouse feature, like, it seems to open up the possibility of games like that. Games like Mario Maker, like, you know, the way we were able to play them on the gamepad on the Wii U, where it was more convenient, more fun, more creative feeling than it was on the Switch with Mario Maker 2, you know?
Yeah, because there wasn't a lot that was a downgrade, but not that I'm a Mario Maker guy, but that was a downgrade from 1 to 2, and not because of the qualities of life that they added to it, but because the gamepad made that game what it was.
For sure. Like, and I feel like I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, are there going to be licensed Nintendo mouse pads? If so, that's going to be so cool, honestly. Like, can you imagine like customizing your own or buying your own, like, I don't know, Nidoking mouse pad? I don't know.
Nidoking out of everything? That's where you went first?
That was the first thing that came to my head.
That's so random. That's not even one of your like favorite Pokemon.
It's not. Well, I think the reason I thought about it is because this was the other thing I really liked about the trailer. I don't know if this came to your mind, but like, so they open with the ambient noise and the Switch one, and then it just starts to evolve, right? Like it fattens up, the Joy-Cons come off, it literally like sheds its skin, and you see like flakes of whatever the exterior of the Switch
like
are, like flying off. Like dude, it was literally like the Switch one was evolving like a Pokemon. Like that was the first thought I thought when I watched it. I was like, this.
And I thought of Nidoking?
I thought of Nidoking. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with Nidoking, but it's just random.
I'm just appealing to the Gen 1ers out there, which are most people, right? You know?
I don't know. Is that even true anymore? I don't know.
I don't know, but I like that about the trailer. Like it did literally seem they did focus a lot on the differences between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, and you literally see the Switch 1 evolve into what it is now. Like I could hear the evolution song from Pokemon in my head, like dun, 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 dun. Like I was totally imagining. Yeah. Don't click B though, or it'll go back to a Switch 1. You know?
So. What? Nidorino has stopped evolving. It just wanted to be Nidoking. You used a Moonstone
I wanted Nidoking.
Yeah. Anyways. No, it's a lot. That honestly is where the most of the speculation even is able to come in, is with the Joy-Cons and what they can possibly do. Because the rest of it looks pretty straightforward. Obviously, there's a USB-C port on the top of the console now as well.
Dude, okay, let's not understate that. That is a massive win. That's a massive win.
Well, I mean, sure.
USB-C on the top is super convenient. How many times did I want to set my Switch 1 on a table or on something to play it with the Joy-Cons, like you said, from a distance away, but I can't because it's like the battery's at 15%, and so I can't play it that way because the USB-C was only on the bottom.
Yeah,
stupid design.
It was pretty dumb. I'm just kind of like taking in the trailer a little bit right now, trying to see if there's anything I missed, but yeah, no, the USB-C on top is great.
Yeah, that's a nice change, nice quality of life.
Still
change
a headphone
there.
jack. I'm glad that Nintendo, the Switch 2 won't have Bluetooth support until 2028. like because the Switch 1 didn't get Bluetooth support until way later.
Yeah, that was so weird. Like literally, like was it 4 or 5 years in? Even like all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
and it
like
was
you
just random.
connect.
One day they're like, "Hey, we added Bluetooth
Yeah,
support."
that was. I mean, that was great. Like all of a sudden, you update it and like, oh sweet, my AirPods connected this now. That's seems like it should have been there since 2017, but okay.
I know my Vita that came out in 2011 had Bluetooth support, but my Switch
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, exactly, exactly. That's so fun. Yeah, that's Nintendo though. They make some weird decisions at times. You're just like,
Yeah.
are you, it's not 1985 anymore, Nintendo. Let's think about some things.
Well, and I'm not a like we've talked about this already. I'm not a tech guy. Like I don't understand a lot of things, but you can't just add Bluetooth support to a console, right? Like it has to have something baked in there to be able to connect to Bluetooth, right? Like it can't. It's not just a software update, isn't it?
Yes.
Like
I mean, again, I'm not a tech guy, but I'm pretty sure that it was created to work with Bluetooth technology. Like you can't just update that to your Switch, right?
so
Like
what took them so long? Like
I don't think you. Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe I'm way off here. Somebody hit us up in the comments if we're wrong on this, but I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure Bluetooth
feel
was
free.
capable
I'm sure
from the
somebody
beginning.
knows. I like how the Switch, the Switch trailer now. Somebody commented the Switch 2 trailer now has more views than the Wii U had consoles sold. That's impressive.
Yeah, and well, isn't that like a testament? Like they essentially shadow dropped this console, which I don't know if that's also a new first for Nintendo to shadow drop a console reveal, but like, yeah, it's obviously getting a ton of attention, so it worked, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember if there was an announcement that the trailer for the Switch was going to drop. I remember the hype and everybody talking about like Nintendo's new console, like what's it going to be? It was called the NX up till that point. Everybody called it the Nintendo NX. And there I remember seeing some talk on Reddit and stuff, you know, people doing mock-ups and like they had like the idea was already out that it was going to somehow be like a handheld because there were people that had made like fake, you know, NX consoles that were like handheld consoles with like completely touchscreen. They didn't have Joy-Cons or anything. It was all like it looked like a glorified Vita basically, but the whole thing was a screen with the buttons on it. Like I don't know. That's a random memory, but I remember that and like everybody being excited for it, but I don't remember if Nintendo said like, "Hey, we're going to drop a trailer," or if it just happened.
Yeah.
But I remember when that trailer dropped and they showed off. I should have watched it before this just to reset my memory, but I remember them showing for sure like the fact that it was going to be a hybrid console. You were going to play it on the TV, you're going to put the Joy-Cons back on, take it out of the dock, and you're going to play it on the go. And showing Splatoon and Mario Kart and Mario Odyssey for the first time. And I think at the time we didn't know that they were true sequels for sure, other than Mario Odyssey obviously looking like a new game.
Sure.
But how so at this time, 2016, me and my friend Nick were actually working on a website, a video game website, and we had been writing articles and stuff. So not my first foray into trying to get into like video game media, but the first one that stuck. And I remember how excited I was. And I remember like once that trailer dropped, I was going somewhere on some level of a trip. So I remember being at the airport the next day, and I remember writing an article for that, talking about all the like why I'm so hyped for this hybrid console and what I hope to see. And if I could find that article, because the website's not up anymore, I don't know if I could, but if I could, I'm sure that most of the things that I was hyped for didn't actually come true. But at least some of them did.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, like I we've discussed this at length on Discord and elsewhere, but like my experience was slightly different, right? Like obviously I'm a massive Nintendo fanboy essentially. Like it's my Nintendo is my video game bread and butter for sure. And I was skeptical only because I was skeptical that they could create another rousing success like the Nintendo Wii was, you know, especially after the doldrums of the Wii U it was heavy, man. It was just like, I love a lot of the stuff you're doing, but you know, you're not making money, so this can't continue, this can't go on, or you're going to be gone, you know, like, yeah. And some of it has to be the sources I was going to. Maybe it was IGN, maybe it was at the time one of the only video game podcasts I listened to was Nintendo Voice Chat, and I remember everyone being like, this sounds cool, but like we're skeptical. And that was maybe what I adopted, because I don't remember just universal excitement for it. I remember people be like, this could be cool, but like we still only have the Wii U right now, and this feels kind of like the Wii U in some ways. So I
I
remember people being very skeptical.
To be fair, what you were probably hearing was probably the more common. I think I had put myself in a situation where I was only talking or associating with, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, with other people who were excited for it. I remember being all in. I remember being at Nick's house. We were talking about something on the website. I remember being like, dude, buy Nintendo stock, which of course I didn't even listen to my own advice, but I was like, buy Nintendo stock. This thing's going to be a huge success. You're going to, in 5
Honestly,
years, you're going to wish you bought Nintendo stock. And like, I just had like, I was like, just think about all the things you can. I was all in. Like the fact, just thinking about something as simple as Pokemon, which of course maybe hasn't landed perfectly on the Switch, but still, the idea of Pokemon on your TV, on the go, being able to easily like get a console experience Pokemon game, but then be able to play with your friends in a get together setting. And also really thought that the Switch would take off in an esports setting too, which that's probably Nintendo's fault for not pushing it.
But more Nintendo's fault. They don't seem to invest in the like architecture of what you need for online play, but also they don't seem to care much about it either. But reportedly, they're going to be investing a lot more in that. But talking about like buying Nintendo stock, that would honestly be a pretty decent indicator if you could. I'm sure you could look that up. Like what happened to Nintendo stock right after the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 1. Like that'd be a pretty good indicator of like what investors thought, what the climate was or temperature was of like, were people feeling it? Did they think it was going to be a success? You could go back and that'd be like an actual like, tangible.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Recordable result that would give you an indicator of what was more the feeling. Was it more yours, like universal like excitement and optimism, or was it more like, ooh, we don't know, But,
one of the listeners who dabbles in stocks, see if you can't get us that information, because now I'm just curious. I'm sure somebody, I know some people that listen do stock stuff. That's the technical term, right? Stock stuff.
Stock stuff. That's the r/stock stuff. Yeah.
Well,
but I was in though, right? Like I was skeptical, but like it's Nintendo. I was in day one, dude. I bought the big box Breath of the Wild, and by the way, once you saw that first trailer of Breath of the Wild, if you weren't in, I don't know what's wrong with you, man. That was so crazy.
I mean, we were already excited for Breath of the Wild before that because they'd showed it off for the Wii U.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, when they showed it off the official trailer pre-Switch launch, it was like, obviously this is a game I have to get on the new Nintendo console. Don't care that I have a Wii U still.
But like, regardless, that the situation going into Switch 1 was very different, obviously, from going into Switch 2, because everybody has a Switch, everybody loves a Switch, with exceptions, and expectations are a lot higher. The hype was universal. And honestly, we're yet to see if the hype is met, right? Because there's still a lot we don't know about this console, and there's basically we know nothing about the games that are coming out. So that's why the Direct is going to be the most interesting, is seeing what games are coming out in the short term, 2025, early 2026.
And speaking of games, the only official announcements we got from this little 2-minute trailer game-wise is, well, one, that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible with Switch 1 software, both physical and digital games, basically, with a few exceptions, but I said with some exceptions, but I think the safe assumption everybody believes is that it probably means things like Ring Fit Adventure or Labo, or things that used peripherals that the Switch 2 might not support.
Like a lot of them required like the Joy-Con, the Nintendo Switch 1 Joy-Con dimensions for it to work. You had to slap them in like the Ring Con, or you had to they had to fit into the cardboard because of the size of the Joy-Con, like stuff like that. Makes sense that it wouldn't work.
Exactly. But that's good news, because they had announced a couple months ago already that the Switch would be backwards compatible with Switch 1, or Switch 2 would be backwards compatible with Switch 1 software, but their wording did not specifically mention physical media, and everybody glommed onto that. Like, are they saying like it's not going to support physical games? Which thank God it does, because there's a lot of people that have a huge collection. Like, I have some digital Switch games for sure, but I have a much bigger collection of physical Switch games that I did not want to lose the ability to play on my new console.
Well, yeah, and so again, they appealed to everyone. They made the Switch 2 accessible to. I mean, it looks like they're trying to do it to everyone. They're not trying to abandon any player base, which is huge because if they, because and I guess that would make them the exception because Sony and Xbox largely are kind of abandoning physical media. So especially Xbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, not them, not yet.
Well,
We still got
Nintendo
cartridges.
said in the last year that they have no intention of abandoning physical media in the near future. So they're the only
Yeah,
ones that are like outwardly spoken towards it. Um, and just like honestly, too, one of the things I've said that not that I'm any kind of know-it-all, though I might act like one sometimes, but is that the Nintendo would have been stupid to not support Switch One games, whether it be digital or physical, preferably both. But because they've sold 120 plus million consoles, that means that I don't know what their actual like game sales are, but it's in the billions. Like it has
yeah,
to be well into the billions. And if you have those people that cannot play their games on the new Switch, a lot of them won't upgrade. Some of them
yep,
may not upgrade at all. Some of them may not upgrade until they absolutely have to at some point because their Switch One breaks.
sure.
Like
Or waiting for a certain game to launch.
this opens up the avenue for an amount of people, and getting day one adopters is great because if you don't release your next console for another 7 years, a lot of people will update that console when either their first one breaks or is getting old and they want the new rendition or a special edition console. That's how you get system sales. So you want as many people to buy early. That also is great for third party publishers to see, the support and the get support that way from them. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's just
for sure.
general musing on the thought.
No, it was a very good call on their part. And yeah, I think there was a massive sigh of relief for collectors, for people that just prefer to have physical and feel like they own their games. Yeah, a very good move on their part. And then yeah, for those people that have an entirely digital collection, guess what? The assumption is you're just going to boot up your Switch 2. You're going to log into Nintendo Switch Online, because that's going to be the same infrastructure, I'm guessing, same
Hopefully a
portal.
huge update, but yes, the same
Yeah,
access.
yeah, there'll be updates, and yeah, and then presumably you'll be able to seamlessly play your library of games
Uh-oh.
you had before on your Switch. Honestly, that leads to one of the bigger questions: is like, is there going to be up-resing? Are these games going to get prettier? Are they going to run faster or better? Like that again, this is a tech question probably, but like we don't really have the answers to that yet, and that's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks still. But I'm excited for that aspect of it. I mean, there was
Oh, for sure.
rumors like last year before, I don't remember, Tokyo Game Show or CES or one of these shows, about people behind scenes seeing like upscaled versions of Breath of the Wild running on Switch 2. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know like if that was true or not, but if it
sure.
is, it would be exciting, and that would keep software sales of Switch One games up. So like, this is probably the first time in Nintendo's history where they will be continuing to make last gen console games well into the next gen console's life cycle. Because as far as I can remember, I'm not saying third party support, but Nintendo, as far as I can remember, once the GameCube came out, there was maybe one or two 64 games that they did. Once the Wii came out, I don't think they had any other GameCube game. I think Twilight Princess was the last GameCube game. And once
Yeah,
the Wii U came out, I don't think they released any more first party games for the Wii. They may have released something, but I don't think so. And then obviously once the Switch came out, the Wii U was already dead, so there was no more
yeah.
support there.
And it makes sense. It's you have to transition. You can't just turn off the massive, literally massive mess. So hundreds of millions of people that have a Switch, right? Like they still have to have access to some of these games, and they will. Like for example, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a Switch One game, at least partly, right? Like I mean, people are hoping, assuming there will be a Switch 2 version of that probably is prettier, runs a little better or whatever, but at least I hope so, as a massive fan. But
Yeah,
but like yeah, you can't abandon the tons of people that took part in your ecosystem from the beginning. And I feel like you said, I feel like Nintendo's doing what they can to move forward while also not leave those people behind. And correct me if I'm wrong. Like for something like, for example, going PS4 to PS5, there's a lot of games you can't play on the PS5 that are PS4 games, right? Like maybe even a majority. Am I wrong on that?
No, there's almost no games that you can't play. There's
Oh,
almost no
really?
PS4 games that you can't play on
Oh, maybe I was
PS5.
thinking PS3 then to
Yeah, the
PS4, PS5.
PS3 to PS4 was not backwards compatible. There's some, well, we don't need to get into that. But
Yeah.
yeah, there PS4 PS5 is like 99.9% backwards compatible with
Okay.
PS4 games.
See, well then, see that's an interesting case then I think, right? Because like there's a lot of PS4 owners that still haven't adopted it or bought a PS5. So it'll be interesting to see how many people that have a Switch are like, I'm justified buying this Switch too, even if it has a new game that I don't have. You know, it'll be very interesting to watch that. I would assume the sales are going to be good, but the question is how good.
Yeah, I'd say within the first year, the common gamer needs proof as to why they need to get it, why they should get it.
Sure.
They'll always get the hard,
Like your everyday person, not like your hardcores.
yeah, exactly, or even maybe some hardcore gamers, but that just aren't as into console gaming now, that focus more
Or
on
Nintendo.
PC.
Yeah.
They might not see a need to buy the Switch 2 at launch or within the first year even without some reason to truly upgrade. Obviously, the hardcores, like you and I and a lot of people that listen to this podcast and a lot of people on the internet in general will be going for a Switch 2 day one.
Yeah.
But
That's a
yeah,
lot.
for sure. Um, but I think the last real thing of note on this trailer was the reveal of what seems to be a new Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Probably Mario Kart 9. There's
Yeah.
not a lot to talk about there that hasn't already been dissected into oblivion on the internet.
Sure.
But it does look like this will, if everything adds up to what it looks like on that trailer, there are enough starting point lines for 24 carts. So it looks like
Yeah.
it might be 24-player Mario Kart. And then the only other things you can kind of take from that trailer is I would say that the level looks very large.
Yeah. Tracks look really.
And the only other thing is Donkey Kong got a rework look to look more like the Seth Rogen Donkey Kong from the movie, which I don't know how I feel about that. But
Yeah.
I was thinking about it though. So like obviously with Mario Kart, there has to be, they always add some level of new gimmick to kind of keep it a little fresh. And Mario Kart 8, I don't think anybody will argue me on this, is probably the pinnacle of Mario Kart. Like
Oh yeah.
it's you might have
It's
a different
definitive Mario
favorite,
Kart.
like I wouldn't say Mario Kart 8 is my favorite, but it's the pinnacle. It's the definitive Mario Kart. It does everything right. I mean, it's just a great
Yeah.
experience, great multiplayer, great everything. And there's a reason why on
Yeah.
the Switch we never got a new Mario Kart. We got a remake of Mario Kart 8 from the Wii U. They did do a bunch of new tracks and stuff, but it's been 10 years since we got a new Mario Kart at this point, like
Oh,
or
dude,
more, like probably 11 years since we've gotten an actual new Mario Kart. And I think
Yeah.
part of that reason was Nintendo probably didn't know what to do. Like, how do we evolve from Mario Kart 8 when
Yeah.
it's so good? I wonder
Yep.
by the scope of that level, how big that level looked, and the fact that there's potentially 24 player races or whatever. I wonder if they're going open world. I wonder if it's going to have some level of
Open
like,
world.
yeah, like you can get online with 24 friends or random people, go into a lobby, and you can do races. You can go separate ways to do different mini games and do different stuff, different things. Different stuff wasn't the right way to say that, but opening it up to
So
more possibilities other than just the
Interesting.
standard Grand Prix versus battle mode. They'll probably still have that, but I'll almost I'm really going out there, and I'm probably going to be extremely wrong.
Hey, dude, be bold. Be bold. You might as well.
But almost kind of like what the Crew did, which I never played, but the whole premise of the Crew was drive around America, like you or whatever. I don't know if it was actually America, but drive around this giant landscape. You can start from point A, you can go all the way across the map to Z, and it's a huge map with plenty of stuff to do in between. You can do races, you can do car shows, you can do all this stuff. And I kind of wonder if that's a vibe that they're going for. They'll Nintendo-fy it for sure.
Yeah.
It might not be as massive or as impressive, but
Yeah.
I
Open world Mario Kart. That would be very interesting. Like what you're describing to me sounds like interesting, It also to me sounds vaguely familiar or similar to Forza Horizon 4, like which I played. I dabbled a little bit on Xbox, and it's a little bit like that, like a very like open world, massive map where you're driving around. You can race. You can like pick up people, take them places. There's
That
like quests and stuff.
yeah,
Like
that's kind of more what I'm thinking. Like adding this level of like connectivity depth to it almost like I said there may still be a normal Grand Prix mode, and maybe I'm
oh, there
just
will be.
completely going off the rails here, but like the giant scope of that level and 24 carts on the map at one time made me feel like maybe there's more to it. Also, they didn't look like they were moving that fast, but it's a trailer, so like
Yeah, it's a trailer. It's great. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
but
Yeah, like the question is, what can they do to separate themselves from Mario Kart 8? Like you said, that's peak Mario Kart in terms of like gameplay and in terms of like content, right? Like they gave us a billion tracks. They gave us more racers than we've ever had before. In terms of like racers you could select and race with.
yeah.
I imagine that number will go up, and you know, there's going to be enough tracks to satisfy whatever need a Mario Kart fan has. But
I just
yeah,
can't
like
wait till the microtransactions. We get the Mario movie skin pack that
oh,
we can buy.
oh
Let's
dude,
go.
I'm gonna be so depressed if there's microtransactions in Mario Kart.
Yeah,
Oh,
me
that'll
too.
be so sad. But I could totally see it, honestly.
I think the only
Um,
game that a Nintendo game that I would approve of some level of microtransactions in is Animal Crossing. And
yeah,
that would be like an
makes sense.
estate to just keep it going, like constantly add
Yeah,
content, but I'm not I'm also not a
yeah,
proponent for that cuz
it's true.
microtransactions are annoying, but
Animal Crossing somewhat has like the vibes of something that would benefit from like a live service. I don't know, ecosystem. I'm backpedaling. No, that even as I'm saying that, I'm backpedaling it. But I could see it. I can see what you're saying.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So 24 racers at once. Like in terms of like online play, that sounds like a nightmare for what Nintendo's used to try offering us in terms of online play. But
Uh-huh.
but it also sounds really exciting, really enticing. Like I've heard multiple people mention that that's the number of racers that would be in a Formula One race, you know, which is massive in Japan and the rest of the world, and even catching on here in the U.S. But like, so I don't know. Will they put some like realistic race elements, like I don't know, pit stops or something that makes it, you know, like that sounds boring in like something like Mario Kart where you just want to keep going, you just want to keep firing your shells and lightning bolts and your bullet bills and destroying people while you're trying to get first place. But what are they going to do in even just as a racer to separate it from Mario Kart 8? What are they going to do? I don't know. But like there are a couple of details in that trailer that you didn't mention. At least this is what I've seen in passing on Twitter. But like they showed a like a little like it looked like a Yoshi burger joint or something like that, like a little
Yeah, I was thinking of that when you
cafe
mentioned
or
the pit stop.
yeah. Yeah, like I don't know if that was supposed to be like a pit stop area or like a gas station or something, like
It
off
could
to the left, right?
Yeah, that was another part that got me thinking more like maybe there's more to this. It obviously could just be a little building that happens to be on the map, but
Yeah,
like if there was some
yeah,
level of interactivity to that, why
yeah.
not? Why not make Mario Kart bigger than it is?
Oh, for sure. And another thing, this was just one passing comment I saw, but people were speculating about what that little. There was something there. There was like a shape, or it looked like kind of reddish or yellowish in nature, right there
Hmm.
in that area that looked like the pit stop gas station area or whatever. And some guy was like, "What if that's a Wonder Seed? What if they do Super Mario Wonder in Mario Kart and like you run through
Completely
Wonder
change
Seeds and
up
it
the
just
track.
completely yeah,
Dude, that would be kind of cool.
like real time changing maps like that. I
I
mean,
love
that
that
sounds like
concept of
something that would be
wonder.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and there was also this isn't a new thing, but there was also other cars on that map. Obviously, Toad's Turnpike on Nintendo 64 had the vehicles on a map already, but I just found that kind of interesting because I can't think of another level other than Toad's Turnpike that had vehicles on the map like that. And the fact that they looked like they're moving really slow was odd to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
probably
I
a
mean,
nothing.
that's probably yeah, like trailer reel, like when you know, like when you finish a race in Mario Kart and you just see like as they're showing people's places from in the race, people are racing and it feels like slower or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know.
So
But hey, another thing, Yoshi Burger, that if they don't put that in Universal Studios, that's a missed opportunity right there.
just
Just saying.
like Disneyland not putting What's the name of the place on Toy Story?
Pizza
The
Planet.
Pizza Planet. Not putting Pizza Planet in freaking Disneyland and
Not an,
in
I
Tomorrowland.
feel like they might have like themed it kind of to that now, but I don't know if it's called that still.
I
But
don't know. I haven't been in a while, but so I think that kind of sums up the overall concept conversation of the trailer. You have any other thoughts on the trailer? I have.
I have a couple questions for you actually before you move on. But like, okay, so first, we already discussed it to some degree, but the name, Nintendo Switch 2. One, was that what you expected? Two, is that what you would have named it if you were Nintendo?
uh, we joked about this before, but I definitely would have preferred to name it the Super Nintendo Switch U, because then nobody would be confused.
It's everything to all people.
Yeah. Um, I think that their naming conventions have confused people in the past. And I
Yes.
think just going, if they're not changing the console that much, which they obviously aren't, but it is a new console with new features and, much, probably a huge upgrade graphically and all that stuff, then just saying it's basically the sequel is the smart way to go. I don't know
Yeah.
if I would name it anything else. Like,
Yeah.
there's the just the Nintendo nerd in me thinks it would be cool if they went with like Super Nintendo Switch, but
Yeah.
that would probably confuse people. So
Yeah, and who does that appeal to anymore? Like, who has memories of Super Nintendo or you know,
just us
like
old heads.
not many people anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you. It's interesting that they finally started iterating with the title, but because it does seem to like box them into a corner. Like, moving forward now, is it going to be like Nintendo fans are expecting the NS3, the Nintendo Switch 3, or are they going to completely 180 and pivot and throw something crazy out there after this? I don't know, but
Yeah. I guess only the future will tell. You have another question? A question for me?
uh, questions for Chris. Dude, okay, what do you think of the overall look? Like, I think it looks great. I think it looks really good.
I think
Like,
it looks nice.
aesthetically, I love it.
It looks more mature than the Switch. Like, I've always liked the color combinations of the Joy-Cons and everything, but I don't think there's any denying that the colors almost give it a toy-like look,
Hmm.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I think when you're competing with other very mature handheld consoles, it's nice to like kind of mature themselves up a bit. And
Hmm.
this, I think, looks more like Steam Deck or the ROG Ally or any of those consoles as far as like sleek, clean.
Oh
It,
yeah,
it has an
dude,
adult look to it. Like,
it's sexy, man. Me personally, I love the look. I especially like the two-tone. I've heard mixed reviews on this, but I've heard some people don't like this. But I really like the colors underneath the analog sticks. Like,
I like
the,
that because
the
it's like
two-tone nature of
Nintendo's
it. I
like we're
love it.
still here, but we're. It feels
Yeah.
to me like we're still Nintendo, but we're just a little more grown up now. Like,
Mhm.
it's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. And to me, that makes me think that there's going to be a lot more customizable color schemes and options, two-tone possibilities, deluxe collector's edition Joy-Cons, etc. Like, there's going to be all kinds of options, I feel like, and
Oh,
I'm excited about that,
for
obviously.
sure. Any chance to milk money out of us with Joy Cons and Pro
Heck
controllers?
yeah. Oh, I know, I know.
I,
Oh, I wonder if the Pro Controller will get a reimagining at all. Probably not.
I was just about to ask that. I wonder. I don't know. I think the Pro controller is a pretty good controller. I don't know what I would do to change it. So,
Yeah.
um, all right. So on that note, I was gonna ask if you have any changes that you hope to see in the Switch 2 from the Switch 1. Like, what are some things you hope that Nintendo adjusts on this new console? Obviously, like the main one, everybody hopes it's better processing power, like it's going to be able to play newer, better games, yada yada, that stuff. But like anything
Yeah.
else that you kind of hope that it does
That is
differently or it
great.
adds.
That is a great question. I wish I would have had a little time to think about it. But off the top of my head, what do I want it to do better? I just want the battery to last long. I want it to not take a very long time to charge. I'm thinking like practical aspects. I want the games that I want to run smoothly on the internet. Like Smash, Mario Kart,
Mm-hmm.
for example, right? Like, obviously their online infrastructure has never been the best, nor has the performance of their games on it. So I would like that to be better. I don't know how much better that's going to get because it's not a Nintendo thing or a Nintendo priority, even necessarily. But I don't know. What about you? I'll try to think of some more.
Well, I think my main thing is I would love to see an updated UI. Um,
Oh
I
yeah.
I've always enjoyed Nintendo's UI interfaces since the DS. You know, that's the first time we really had one. Did I say UI interfaces? Anyway,
No, but UI makes user interface. Yeah, everyone knows what UI is. So I get
so
it.
the DS, you know, it had like just a little bit of music and it was clean, and then the 3DS was nice and had all the customization options. The Wii U maybe was a little cluttered, but felt very lively and everything. The Wii as well had a very nice like music and like, you know, the menus and everything.
Yeah.
Or like I guess the channels is what I should have said. I like the way Nintendo does UI usually, and the Switch just sucks. Like, I'm not excited to boot up my Switch. I know that sounds stupid, but I turn on my 3DS sometimes
Uh,
and I'm excited to turn it on because I
yeah.
immediately have a Pokemon Gold and Silver theme going and it's playing music in the background, and I've like customized it with, you know, all my folders, and I have all the, what was that stupid game where you could get the stickers from?
Oh
Um
yeah. Sticker Star or not
Badge
Sticker Star?
Arcade. Badge Arcade.
Oh dude,
Um,
Badge Arcade was sick. I loved
yeah,
that.
like, and I know
Speaking of
Badge Arcade isn't going to
that was
happen
Nintendo
again.
microtransactions right
Yeah,
there,
and
by
they
the way.
got way too much money from me. But like,
Dude,
I love that level of customization on my 3DS. Like, I'm being serious when I say sometimes I flip it open and I'm just like, ah, yes, so nice, like so whimsical, so Nintendo. And you know, not everybody wants that, but that's why it should be customizable. Like, you can keep it just the black or white theme if you want. But
yeah,
why the heck was the Switch so dang boring? Like,
yeah.
like it's a
Simplicity. They were appealing to. They were trying to appeal to everyone. They wanted to make it feel like okay. So here's the problem, right, Chris? Like you were talking just a second ago about how Nintendo's trying to appear not just like a toy manufacturer like they've been since 1800s, but they're trying to appeal to grown-up gamers, like people that want a Steam Deck or whatever the other Lenovo Go or whatever they're called. Like it's Nintendo, right?
Mhm.
And there's got to be a balance there. I feel like they do have to appeal to everyone, but they don't want to lose their identity. And for that reason, I agree. I do hope they add something that makes the Switch to have more of a community and lighthearted aspect. However, I don't think they're going to, if you ask me.
I don't. Nothing I say is something I think will happen for sure. It's what I want to happen.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, I agree. I would like that too. The UI works. It's super easy to navigate. Obviously, it's super simple.
Yeah, it's
But
clean. It's just boring.
yeah,
And there's
it
not
is
even
boring.
any like music, like, or anything. Like,
Yeah,
it's just so not Nintendo, which bothers me because at the
yeah,
end of the day, like, I like being able to turn on my Nintendo consoles and feel like I'm playing a Nintendo console.
yeah.
Um, I've definitely moved away from playing my Switch over the last couple of years, other than exclusives, just because I'm not. It sounds stupid, but I'm not interested in turning it on. Like,
Mm.
it's slow for one thing. Like,
And you're not getting trophies. Don't lie to everyone, Chris.
I was
Because
I
there's no
was gonna
trophies.
say that too, but like, trophies are very important to me personally. Like, trophy
Sure, sure.
support in a game, if it's on both consoles, will usually win between, if I'm picking between a PlayStation or a Nintendo port. But that isn't always the case. Like, when the Switch first came out, I would have picked any third-party game over the PlayStation port because I wanted to play it on the Switch. But over time, I got so dang bored with like the Switch interface, and like there was no reason for me to play it on the Switch. Like, I might as well play it on PlayStation where I get trophies. I mean, unless I wanted to play it on the go, but which happens
Sure.
sometimes. But
Yeah.
I think
No,
like
I get that.
I I guess as an example too, like, I miss, and I do not think we'll get this again, but like the Miiverse and stuff like that. Even that gave me a reason personally to feel like I wanted to play a multi-platform game on my Wii U over my PlayStation, because it was still, there was that interactivity that might not have been achievements, but there was you had the Miiverse, you could talk to other people who played the game, and I love that. And that would be another thing for me. I
Yeah.
wish that one of these companies, even Microsoft, like, I'm not an Xbox guy, but even if Microsoft did it, I would be a huge proponent for it if one of them would create some kind of hub where people could get together and like create
Yeah.
more of a not a uniform, but like a community. Like, obviously Nintendo has done that with spot passing and with the Miiverse in the past, and even Sony had done it at one time with PlayStation Home, which was way ahead of its time, and I wish they'd do it again. But that
Yeah.
concept of like bringing like little side achievements in games into this other aspect, other world, I don't know what you want to call it, where you can then
Sure.
get together with friends and like interact, like
Yeah. Yeah. So
basically like a chat room, a glorified, much prettier chat room. But
yeah.
I would love to see something like that. I'd love to see Nintendo just they perfected the formula of the Switch. This is going to be a sequel to the Switch. Maybe like let's Nintendo-fy it a little bit more. Like
Yeah, it doesn't seem that like hard to do either, right? It doesn't seem like something that would be way out of their grasp. Like they could still have the same kind of same plain Jane, as you put it in quotes, boring UI, but they could still have an app that enters you into this community aspect, a la Miiverse or a la whatever all the other ones you were talking about. Question though, you're talking about boring UI, like do you care much about the UIs, for example, on the PS5 or Xbox or anything? Like, does that matter that much to you?
the
You're just saying you expect more of Nintendo, right? You expect
I
more.
definitely expect more of Nintendo, but that being said, even PlayStation up until the 5 has always had a really good UI and like very customizable, very
Yeah,
like there's a lot you could do. I like it's stupid, but I like things like themes. I like being able to
yeah,
customize
yeah,
what you come into cuz this is your console and it makes it feel more like your console. Until the
yeah,
30th anniversary, PS5 had no themes, no nothing. And even what they have is still just not great. Like
yeah.
I'm not referring to the PS5 and I can't refer to the Xbox cuz I haven't spent enough time with it. But when it comes to Nintendo, like I just I like that. I like Nintendo's whimsicalness.
Yeah,
Like I like that aspect and the Switch was
for sure.
very lacking in it and maybe just in general we're never going to get it again. Maybe they're moving away
Maybe,
from that aspect of it, but I
but
hope not.
even just like customization options, that seems pretty easy to do, right? And
That's what I'm
uh,
saying. Like, well, even on the Switch, they have. If you go to settings or wherever it is, I can't remember, but I think it's in settings. You can go to themes. They have a freaking tab for themes, and then
yeah.
under themes they have white and black. Like
Mhm.
it's like
Oh yeah, that definitely needs to change.
yeah, like that's it. Like yeah,
Yeah,
over time they eventually added the customization to the icon that you have, but that's lame. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's cool you can switch it on occasion, but that's nothing in comparison to like what you used to be able to do on a Nintendo console. Like
for sure.
it to me it just feels like a step back. It's like we talked about with achievements in the past in other episodes. Not everybody likes
I think
achievements.
you're totally right, but I think again I think it's like they're pulled in two different directions. They're trying to appeal to everyone because the Switch has gotten so big, and they're trying to appeal to people who are adults. They don't just want this to appear to be a toy
And I'm
or a kids
100%
a kids item.
I'm totally for that. But and like, I guarantee you there's plenty of people who like to turn on their Switch and just like to have a black or white UI and nothing else going on. But that's where the option to customize comes in. I'm not saying they need to force it on us the second we turn it on. I'm saying
That's fair.
give us the option. Like let the
That's fair.
people that don't want anything crazy going on to keep it, but let the
Yeah.
rest of us have some level of customization.
And I think they're aware of that desire, that need, because like you said, they did start adding like the ability to buy and earn more profile pictures from different games, different characters, different sprites and Pokemon and Zelda characters, etc. Like they know there is that. People do want the customization options. How much deeper or sophisticated is that going to get? I don't know, but I agree. I hope they pivot more that way.
Yeah, I'm not getting my hopes up. Like I don't actually think it'll happen, I guess, but
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
want it to. Like I would
Yeah.
I'd love for some aspect of that to come back. That's kind of my big thing. And obviously like you mentioned, I will always hope that Nintendo puts in a baked in achievement system, but
Oh yeah.
I think if they didn't do it on the Switch, I kind of don't think they're going to ever. And that's fine. Like it's not a need, it's a want.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yep.
uh anything else on your end on that? Anything else you'd like to see?
Uh, I'd like to see Pokemon performance get drastically better.
Well, that's up to the
That's
Pokemon Company.
that's game specific. That's not even a Nintendo thing. That's
Yeah.
a Game Freak thing. That's an entirely different problem.
Here's to hoping.
Because the games are objectively. We talked about this before. You just want people to develop good games that run better. Is all.
I think they know. I think they know they done messed up, and they probably can't get away with another buggy, crappy mess again. Like they'll still sell a lot, but
yeah,
their sales
it
will
bothers
continue
me
to drop.
when like a game is actually good. Like the game's good, the game's fun, but it runs like balls. It's bad.
What do balls run like? Well, speaking of games, thinking back to the Switch One didn't launch with a huge lineup, but a quality lineup. Well, decent lineup. Obviously, Breath of the Wild was the kicker. Like, just about, I bet the attach rate for Switches with Breath of the Wild was almost 100%. Like, I doubt there are many people who didn't buy Breath of the Wild with the Switch. And then physically, I know there was a couple other games. There's Super Bomberman R, 1-2 Switch, I think a Just Dance and a Skylanders game, which has gotten very expensive. Skylanders Imaginators.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But other than that, and then there was the digital games. There was Snipper Clippers. There was Fast Racing RMX or whatever that game was. I think Shovel Knight was the launch game too. So there was a handful of games, but it wasn't ginormous. You know, it wasn't huge. Obviously, Breath of the Wild being the standout. With the Switch 2, we know nothing other than Mario Kart. A new Mario Kart is coming to the system. That does not mean it'll be a launch title, but it's coming. It might be a launch title.
What if it was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 21 Racers
Edition?
Edition.
I don't know.
Everyone would be like, wah,
that would be
wah.
very annoying. Like, I don't
Very
need to buy
sad.
Mario Kart 8 again. Like,
I will not invest in this.
but yeah, other than that, like, we knew a new Zelda game was going to be a launch title on the Switch. We knew that. So I don't know if they will rely on Mario Kart being their like go-to launch title. Obviously, Mario Kart is one of the best sellers on the Switch, and every console, every Nintendo console, it's one of the best sellers. But I saw somebody raise the question of how many people buy a Nintendo console just for Mario Kart. They buy it because they have the Nintendo console now, but they usually buy that console for like maybe a mainline Mario or Zelda or Pokemon or something else, maybe.
Sure.
But it's rarely they were making the point they don't believe that a lot of people buy a Switch or a new Nintendo console just for Mario Kart. That is something they buy once they have that new console, which I agree with. I mean, if I was slightly more casual and didn't feel a need to buy a Switch 2 day one, which who are we kidding? I'm going to, or at least try to.
I think
I just don't think that Mario Kart alone would be a reason for me to get a Switch 2 if I cared less. And I don't know what I just said. A new Mario Kart.
Sure.
But that being said, do you have any speculation, anything you think that might come? Like it could even be a third-party game, but do you think there's anything that we might see as a launch title or launch window title, or anything you want to see as a launch title?
I mean, selfishly, I want Metroid Prime 4 to launch with it, but I just don't think they would do that. Do you think that here's the trouble? Mario Kart is so huge that whatever they release at launch with it is going to be cannibalized by Mario Kart 9. You would think, right? Because it's such.
If it's a launch title, it would have to be a Zelda or Mario mainline game to like a 3D Mario game. I think to outdo Mario Kart. Metroid unfortunately won't. It will pale.
Metroid's not a system seller. Like they're incredible games, but they're not system sellers like a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Mario Kart's like a force unto its own, you know?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
What do you think? What do you think will come with it?
I mean, I kind of hope we get a new 3D Mario. It's been so dang long, like since Odyssey came out. Odyssey came out in 2017, and Odyssey was literally platforming perfection. Like, I don't think there's a better 3D platformer. Like it's so top tier, and I want another one. But the fact that we haven't heard anything yet, like I don't know that it would be a launch title. Third party support, I'm not saying these are necessarily wants, but I think we're going to see a Call of Duty at launch. Activision, Microsoft, whoever, I guess, was pretty big at saying they were going to support Call of Duty on Nintendo consoles for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they haven't started that yet. So I assume they just immediately started on the Switch 2, and it'll probably, whatever Call of Duty is out now would probably be the big one would probably be a launch title. And I've seen rumors of, obviously it's a rumor, but I've seen rumors that Capcom has been working on a Resident Evil 0 remake that is going to be a Switch launch exclusive.
Really? Interesting.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that,
What I'd like to, I mean, like if I'm like diving into the Metroid or not Metroid, sorry, the Nintendo franchise pool, we haven't had a Star Fox game in a very long time, and that feels like just a tier 2, tier 3 ish type of Nintendo franchise. It would be like good to put next to, say, a Mario Kart 9. You know, like that's never going to sell a ton either. And that's certainly not Mario Kart 9 numbers, but it's a game that would be appealed to a different
Mm-hmm.
base, you know,
And
different kind of player.
and it being out
And
earlier in the life cycle would probably help it sell more overall.
yeah, dude, like a traditional Star Fox game a la Star Fox 64, just by modern standards, with a different tree branch of levels going different routes, and you know, Andross reassembles and he's just wants to kill me and I want to kill him, and it just sounds fun.
We just really want to kill each other. Yeah, the fact Star Fox is such a weird franchise because it's basically just a bunch of Star Fox 64 ports. Like they haven't done
Yeah,
much with it. I know I never played Assault on GameCube, and I think that one was different. And they added like ground missions and stuff.
yeah.
But other than that, Star Fox 64 3DS was Star Fox 64 port, and then even Star Fox Zero was a Star Fox 64 port with like some new features. So
Like
like they don't know what to do with the franchise. It's so odd.
that seems to be clearly what it is, and there clearly doesn't seem to be because you know there's different development divisions within Nintendo. I don't think there's a team assigned to Star Fox, if that makes any sense, right? Like no one's been given this is your one of your slices of the Nintendo pie, and you always make Star Fox games, right? Like we have that with Animal Crossing, and we have that with Mario, and we have that with Zelda, we have that with Xenoblade, you know, like, but we don't
Hmm.
have that with Star Fox. And like it's to me it seems just as simple as the decision to make just another better, bigger Switch, right? Like why can't you just make another better, bigger Star Fox 64 with different maps and different
Yeah,
characters, and
it
why
does
can't you
feel
just do
like it
that?
should be that simple. Like I don't know. I don't know why they can't get it.
Like that would appeal to a lot of people, a new Star Fox adventure like that, you know?
Uh-huh. I agree. Yeah,
Me included.
that would be cool. I'd like a new Star Fox. I bought Star Fox Zero on launch day, and I didn't hate it like everybody else did. It did take me a while to get used to the controls, because it definitely controlled weird. But I thought it was fun. Like I really did. But it was just like I said, a Star Fox 64 port with some strange new features and
Yeah.
additions. But yeah, a new Star Fox would be cool. Obviously, Metroid Prime 4 will be out this year, so
Yeah. So will Legends ZA. So we're like, there's going to be a lot of big titles this year for sure. But I
yeah.
guess, yeah, like you said, the question is, what are going to be the other big Nintendo Switch 2 titles that are coming
Mm-hmm.
this year?
I'll be
I
curious.
I, I think 3D Mario. I think it's not far. I don't know. I doubt it's another launch title, but I don't think it's far off.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I doubt it'll be a launch title, but I mean, like even Mario Odyssey wasn't a launch title, but probably within the next year or so,
Yeah.
year and a half. Um, yeah, and all in all, the end of the day, it might not be the most excited I've been for a new a new Nintendo console, but I'm still excited for it. Like, I
Yeah.
still cannot wait to get my hands on it. I can't wait to throw away my old Switch and never look at it again. That's not true, but but generally speaking, I'm ready for an update, an upgrade, and I just hope that they just. I think my big thing is I just really want them to Nintendo-fy it again. Just bring some of that charm back from every other console before the Switch. Like,
Well, I do think the Joy-Cons being a mouse is very interesting. It seems like there's all kinds of options with that. And you know, being a Nintendo gimmick, it'll probably only work on like 15 games total by the end of the console's life cycle. But I mean, if it hits and works well on a couple of games, that'd be really cool. And it'll give people different ways to play games too. Like I heard some interesting uh, like speculation on will this make FPSs more interesting on the Switch? Like um, if even Splatoon, right? Like a lot of the best Splatoon players use motion controls when they play Splatoon, and Splatoon is one of the most competitive and I don't know has one of the biggest competitive scenes of any Nintendo game, right? Like I could see Splatoon being a mouse on the right side for aiming, etc., and then like maybe I don't know, maybe you're using your left Joy-Con in a more traditional way, or maybe you're
Hmm.
doing double mouse play with it on Splatoon. I can just see it being a really interesting and probably more competitive way to play some games, this mouse control.
For sure. I mean, most first-person shooter fans will always say that they prefer mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be some level of opening up first-person shooters to being more accessible to that player on
Hmm.
console. I don't. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to. They gave us a lot to. No, they didn't give us a lot to digest. They gave us a lot to want to know more about.
It was like
um,
an episode of Lost. We have like 15 more questions now after the trailer was over.
I definitely always like to keep our references at least 20 years old. Yeah, no,
20 years. Well, I guess it is about
it's
20 years
20
old. You're
years.
right.
Yeah, no, you're right. They definitely left us wanting more, but that's what April 2nd's for.
Yeah,
And
for
heck, at
sure.
least we have a date. We very rarely know when the next direct's gonna be. So
That is true. But that is, I mean, to be fair, that is a very long time to wait for a direct, and there is going to be some of that direct that is absolutely spoiled by the time they drop it, because that's the world we live in. And
mhm.
sadly, spoilers and leaks are a part of not just video game culture, just culture in general. Which is, some people love it. People love it and they hate it, right? Like they love to get leaks and to speculate and to be like, "Ooh, what's this gonna? Ooh, is the Switch really gonna do that?" And then when the trailer drops, you're like, "Oh, this is lame. This is exactly what all the leaks said." And you're just like, "Well, what do you want? Do you want the leaks or do you want the surprise, you moron?"
Yeah, you can't have it all, you dingus. Yeah,
Like, but that, I mean, that's kind of like what culture is like, Like, unfortunately, we gotta take it and leave it. But it would have been very interesting to see what if it would have been even more fever pitch, even more excitement if this had come in like completely cold turkey. People had no idea at all what was going to be the next console. But that's not reality. That's not society. That's not the way it works anymore.
yeah. I do think that it being spoiled early kind of helped set expectations a little bit too. Like, it
Yeah,
looked like in the leaks that we saw, it just looked like a new Switch, and that's
sure.
exactly what this trailer was. And so
Yeah.
like, it kept.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going. I got a thought though after you're done.
No, I was just gonna say it kept people from being a little too overhyped, maybe. But yeah, like you said, people are still gonna be overhyped no matter what.
Listen, people, whether you like it or love it, we decided what this console was going to be, right? We put all our money into the Switch One. We bought massive amounts of games on it. We, for years and years, were waiting. Literally, we named the Nintendo Switch 2 5, 6, 7 years ago. Like the public decided what the name of this was, and Nintendo's like, well, everyone's already latched themselves to this name, and it makes sense. It would explain what it's going to be. Like, what I'm saying is, I don't know. Consumers determined what this console was going to be. They decided the name for it. Nintendo is just following suit because they know it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I definitely, yeah, no, you're right. I don't have anything to add to that. Like, I think I'm done. So,
Well, what would you have rated the trailer
that's what I was
based
about
on?
to ask you. So
Oh, okay,
I'll say, I think it's. I think my initial reaction was like a 4 or 5, and I
sure.
think after watching it a handful more times, kind of digesting it a little bit more, letting it sink in, I want to say I'm probably like a 7.
That's fair.
This is not the Switch reveal trailer. Like that to me was 10 out of 10 reveal.
Oh, sure.
Everything, including the use of the Imagine Dragon song. Like everything about it was top tier. Like I was sold. This
Okay.
yeah, I was the one person apparently. No, I was over the moon. But yeah, this
No, you
one,
weren't you weren't the only person for
no,
sure.
I know because I surrounded myself with the others that were excited. um, but yeah, no, I'm excited. It gave me stuff to think about, like we just talked about for an hour and a half. But yeah,
Yeah.
probably a 7. That was probably about where I'd sit. So what about
I'm
you?
with you. I'm with you. I think on after the first watch, like half awake, but still excited. It was probably like a 6-ish for me, and then it's the same thing. You watch it, you glean little details, you start asking yourself more questions, and you get excited by the possibilities. And I'm with you. Like right now, I'm probably at like an 8 or a 9. Um, if we could have gone in, like I said, cold turkey without companies having spoiled a lot of the little features. Not that we know that much in detail about this thing, but it probably would have been like a 10, honestly. But like,
They ruined it for
yeah,
James.
they didn't ruin it for me. I think it's right. I think you're right. I think all these leaks set a proper perspective and level of expectation for the public, and maybe to some degree that was by design. Maybe Nintendo did try to drip feed little things here and there, but then it kind of got out of control, and and then all of a sudden everything was available to people.
Well,
Oh,
crap.
Chris, we didn't talk about this very briefly. Maybe it was the Genki leaks, or maybe it was some other ones, but there was a lot of discussion about a C button that was allegedly on the Switch too.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if it was the right Joy-Con or where it was. That was like a square button and it
You
had
can
a
see
C
the
on it.
C button on the trailer. You can see it on the
You can
Joy-Con.
see the C button on the trailer. I didn't
Yeah,
see it. Are you sure?
rewatch it and use pause and stuff and zoom in. It's on
Are you for real?
yeah, on the inside, like where you would attach it to the console. There's an obvious button and it has a C on it.
Oh, on the inside of the on the inside of the Joy-Con, not the outside, not like a front-facing button.
Not a front-facing button, no, but definitely on the
Oh.
inside.
Maybe okay, because I thought there was like whatever the button that was a front-facing that had a C on it. Like in this trailer, it's no longer there anymore. So whether that's a mistake, maybe the leak was wrong, or maybe Nintendo again throwing the bird at everyone and saying we're taking that away until we want to show you what the C button is. But
no,
I don't know.
I mean,
It's kind of interesting.
as far as that goes, maybe they're withholding that from us for now. But there's definitely, if you watch the trailer and pause it when you can see the after they've molded the I don't know, the rail part of the Joy-Con, I guess there is at the top. There's still the SL and the SR buttons, and then there's the C button on the top. I think Alex even mentioned that in the Discord too.
Oh, maybe you did. Maybe I just completely spaced on that. I'll have to go look back. But
Yeah, but it's definitely there.
yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you're talking about another button possibly on the controller.
I guess I was
that.
imagining a C button on the front of the Switch, like front facing with the ABXY screenshot, screen capture. There's a square button too, another one that I don't think was there before, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
I'm looking at it now, and I wish I had my Switch in front of me. I don't think there is any other buttons on the
Like you
front.
said, we didn't put a lot of preparation into this, so I'm probably way off here. But in my head, I
hold
was
on.
imagining it on the front.
There might be a button below the home button. Do you have your Switch right next to you by chance?
I do not have it right next. I can look
Okay.
at a picture of the Switch though.
Yeah, that would probably be easier. But there is just below on the right Joy-Con, just below the home button, there is what looks to be either a button or a sensor, maybe. But there's no there's nothing on it that signifies what it is. I can't see. My
See,
Joy-Con's docked, and I'd have to move
the-
everything.
Oh, it's not even showing, is it? Oh, see, Chris, this is this Nintendo Switch right here. We're sharing images right now.
Yeah, no, you're so on that on the picture, the right Joy-Con, the pinkish red one. There's the home button on the trailer for this. There is something under a square button or something underneath the home button
Right Joy-Con
on the right Joy-Con. Yeah,
underneath, like is that
home-
the home button or is that the screen capture?
it's the home button on the right Joy-Con.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, so there is a button there. See, I thought that was allegedly in one of the leaks a C button, and people were speculating wildly about what that meant. But we don't have to dive into that. But like,
Yeah.
it seems like they might have pulled back, or that might have been wrong. It's hard to tell right now.
I don't know what it would possibly mean, but there's definitely something there. Whether like I said, whether it be a button or a sensor, it's hard to tell from this because there's nothing. Like I said, there's nothing on it that signifies what it is, but there is a definite something there.
Yeah, like we said, more questions than answers.
Yep. So that's kind of where we stand. I'm excited, looking forward to the news in the next couple
yeah,
months.
I'm fired up. I just don't like that I have to wait this long.
Yeah, no, me neither. I kind of hope we get another Nintendo Direct before the Switch 2 Direct, and maybe a game announcement drop for it too, like for the Switch 2. I don't know if we will, but there's more than enough time to.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, third-party like developers, they're going to release.
Yeah, they can probably talk more freely now.
Yeah.
But all right, so before we close up, we did ask on Instagram and Discord a question. James, if you don't mind getting the Discord ones ready, I'm going to start going through the Instagram ones.
Okay. Oh, we got some Instagram ones. Good.
Yep, we got a few. So the question is, in 10 words or less, how would you rate the reveal of the Switch 2 and why? We got a handful of responses. First was Nick Espinoza. He said he's happy to see it. Now give us the games. Amen. We just want to see games, man.
Agreed.
Tristan Conant said iteration over innovation, and I'm okay with that. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep. Um,
Although
Kyle,
I'd say there's innovation in there. We don't totally know the extent of the innovation
yeah,
yet.
but I think he's going with the concept of Nintendo usually over innovates. You know,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah, that
every
makes sense. That makes sense.
this is them not. They might be innovating some, but that wasn't their main focus. Like,
Yeah, that's for sure. He's right. He's right.
then Kyle Aniho said, "Give me a new Mario Paint out of 10." So he's right there with
Let's
you, wanting
go.
that new
Hey
Mario
man,
Paint.
dude, I am ready for that, man.
Let's see. Caleb Rush said Switch OLED Plus. Yeah, I guess it kind of even we didn't talk about the dock at all, but the dock looks just like the Switch OLED dock. And he said already
Except it's probably not going to be OLED.
Caleb out here hating Switch OLED Plus already broke connector, need wider Joy-Con, taller joysticks. I think that's more than 10 words, buddy.
Yeah, we'll let him break the rules, but we're going to judge them harshly for it.
Yeah. Oh man, but he is one of the people I was thinking of when I thought of the Joy Cons too, because he hates the Joy Cons like with a passion. He uses a Pro controller or the what are the Joy Con imitators called that have the grip on them.
Oh, that's fair. Well, I love the Pro controller, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
hate on that.
Let's see. Then Justin J Choi said, "Ready for it." Kept it under 10 words. Thank you very much. And then Julian Rosignol said, "Me, Dad, you love me, Dad." I said yes. Jeez.
That's it.
Yeah, that's just, I think it's 10 words. 1, 2, 3.
All right, well done.
Exactly 10 words. Good job, man.
That's I know. I like that. Impressive use of space.
Mhm.
Okay.
And he did it right in time too. That response came in 5 minutes ago.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm glad we got to sneak that one in there.
Mm.
All right, so Discord answers.
Yep.
All right, so we got Wusiji Jaden, our friend of the pod. We love him to death. He says, "I'm just glad people will stop saying Super Switch now."
I didn't even see that on there. This is on Discord.
It's on Discord. Yes. Tenderfoot Ace,
Oh yeah, this is the first
aka
response. Sorry.
the Darb Man. By the way, a lot of these responses were just like GIFs or memes with one word answers.
Yeah.
He posted a GIF that said "sensational."
Yeah. I don't even know who that is. Who is that? You know?
That's Rodney.
No, not who posted it. Who the guy in the GIF is.
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay. Moving on then.
Clegaman said angry that he did the Chris Farley one with where he's all beat up and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
is that the one where he's like he gets in the fight in the restaurant or whatever? Or
I don't remember.
Oh,
I
God.
recognize it, but I don't remember what it's from, other than Saturday Night Live.
Joel said finally. I'm assuming that means excitement.
Yeah, it's the Kip from
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, Clegaman followed up. I'll take my hate, but I got to give it a 2 out of 10. Genki stole their thunder, but let's pretend that never happened and they showed this. It's a bigger Switch. That's all we know for certain. It lacked any Nintendo magic. I'm sure they savored it all for April, but they could have given us something and not just big Switch. Okay. A lot more than 10 words, so we're going to judge you, but fair enough. And also, for the purposes of this podcast, 2 out of 10 really is 10 out of 10 because it's Nintendo Switch 2. Am I right or am I right?
What? I don't know. Understand your logic at all.
2 is 10. It's Nintendo Switch 2, baby.
Oh wow, that's what he meant. Okay, now we're on point, Clegaman.
Yeah, maybe he was playing off the Switch title. I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably not.
But fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I can understand where he's coming from. I'd be curious if you have any more thoughts after you listen to this episode. Maybe we opened your mind to some of that
To the
Nintendo
possibility.
magic.
Yeah. Well, to be in his defense, there's not a lot of details that were shared, so I can see that too.
100%. It wasn't I can totally understand somebody not being super happy with this trailer.
Yeah, and frankly, that was what I expected. I expected a little bit of indifference by some people because it's just more Switch. Alex Stravaganza sent some GIF with George Bush on it that says "Mission accomplished." 7 out of 10. I'm excited to get one in my hands. Agreed.
I just want to thank Alex too, because he finally got an OLED in the last 6 months, and then within 6 months came the announcement of the Switch 2. So he was one of the last ones holding off, and he's pushed us into this territory now. Thank you,
pushed
Alex.
us over the finish line.
Thank you. You did us all a service.
And frankly, he's not going to regret getting that OLED.
Actually, that might have been what his GIF was in response to.
Oh.
Mission accomplished. He bought us an OLED, and now the Switch 2 is finally announced.
I know. You got to feel for all those parents that bought their kids like Switch 1s just like weeks ago for Christmas or whatever. And now they're like, Switch 2. Mom, Dad, we want a Switch 2. You know?
I
Parents are just
remember
like nightmare.
this is totally off topic, but I remember just before the Switch came out. This was probably December or January. So months before, your dad called me randomly. Not that he never calls me, but not often. And he was like, "Hey, I want to get your younger sisters." He was like, "I want to get him a console. I was going to get him a Wii U. Do you have any thoughts?" Because obviously I'm the video game guy. So we were talking about it, and I was like, "Honestly, though, Chris, you should probably just hold off and get a Switch because it's going to be way better. And like the Wii U's basically dead." I don't know if he listened to me or not.
I mean,
I don't
think he
remember
bought
where I was. There
Harrison
was a
Dior.
reason for me to bring this up, and I do not remember what it is now.
Harrison Dior ended up sharing a Switch, I think, and my dad ended up buying that Wii U anyways because he just wanted it. I think he
Well,
still has that Wii. He still has a Wii U.
whatever that point was, you should have listened to me. I think I was going like trying to talk. I think it was me referencing how like excited I was for the Switch before it was out. That I was even down talking the Wii U, which I loved the Wii U, but I was just like, just upgrade, get a Switch. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. I'm tired.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So Hannibal, my lovely wife, said, "Hopefully this will still fit in my Uniqlo bag. 11 out of 10. There's no reason to be cynical at this point."
I appreciate the positivity, and I hope it fits in your Uniqlo bag as well. Uniqlo just announced Dragon Ball collab, and they have some pretty cool Dragon Ball shirts. I kind of want to go get one.
Yeah, they do have some cool. They have had some Pokemon ones too that I've liked before. I think that's pretty. Oh wait, no, there's a couple more. Ben Livid says, "I'd rate it a 7 also. I'm pretty whelmed, and that's good. I liked it. I liked that it's iterative. I think a lot of people don't see the potential it has. A lot is mystery, sure, but it has the potential to just be really well crafted, be an enormous vehicle for great gaming experiences."
Amen.
I agree with that.
I like Ben. He thinks like I think when it comes to stuff like this, but more on the positive side.
Yeah, honestly, 7 feels just about right. I think for the average person, probably. Jer Bear, Nintendo mad they had to reveal because of leaks. 6.
It did feel kind of like Nintendo was just like,
"Oh, it's true.
You want to reveal? Well, this is what you get."
Yeah, me.
Enjoy waiting until April 2nd. Now, you losers.
Yeah, me. No, it's true though. Me and Hannah were talking about that too. It felt like it was a good trailer, but it felt pretty spiteful. Like, oh yeah, you spoiled all this stuff. Well, take this.
Yeah. Oh man, good stuff.
It had that energy for sure.
Okay, well, on that note, thank you everybody for your responses. I didn't have a lot of time to enter it, and just this episode happened due to James's persistence because me being the semi-depressed Eeyore of that I am was kind of like, humdrum. Nobody wants to hear from me, so I don't think I need to do this. And then James was like, "We're doing this." I'm like, "Fine, okay, as long as it's via Zoom, because I don't want to go anywhere."
Well, I'm glad that I could be the Tigger to your Eeyore, if that makes any sense at all.
It does.
But
I appreciate it.
Hey man, any self-respecting podcast had to talk about this reveal. Even if they didn't give us a whole lot to work with, we had to talk about it because it is the biggest news right now.
It is true, but I have no self-respect. So.
Oh, that's not true. I respect you though.
Well, that's good. If only you were me. Well, anyway, thank you for pushing it. I'm glad that we did it. It's a shorter episode, but we still ended up being in an hour and 40 minutes by the time this is done. Doesn't matter. I don't know why. No matter how hard we try, episodes always can't just be short.
Hey man, if we end it right now, this is shorter than most Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I'm pretty sure. So that's not bad.
And hopefully better than some of the ones in the last 4 years.
You're right. But there's been some.
This episode has to be better than the Ant-Man Wasp Quantumania.
Oh, Quantum.
Come on.
Let us know.
Let us know if you liked this episode more than that movie.
Yes, that's the question for the comments. Is this episode better than Ant-Man Quantumania? Yes or no?
I'll take better than Ant-Man Wasp Quantumania, worse than Thor Love and Thunder. But heck, if you think it's better than that too, let's go. I'm winning. I'm better than Christian Bale somewhere.
Oh, for a second I thought you were trying to compare this to Ragnarok. I was like, Chris, you should be quiet. Ragnarok's really, really good.
No, I said Thor Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder is not.
I'm not a fool. This episode was obviously better than Infinity War.
What? Okay, guys, what MCU movie was this episode to you? Please and thank you. We love you.
Yes, a nice comparison. Like, if you had all of the MCU movies rated and then tossed this episode in that ranking, like, I'd like to know what we're above. Like,
If you
Iron Man 2, probably, Thor
if you ranked the
2.
entire MCU, where would this episode fall in that ranking?
This episode that had nothing to do with Marvel the whole time until right now. We'd love to know. Give us your thoughts. If you want to write out a whole list on Discord and like really dissect this,
Yes.
I'm game. That'd be fun.
This has gone on far too long, but I really, honestly, I want to see what people say. Where would they rank this in the MCU universe?
I don't know, but
I'm down for that.
we only have 8 seconds to end this episode and be under an hour and 40 minutes. So thank you all for listening. This has been the X Button Gaming Podcast. And remember to always press X to continue. Bye, James.
Nintendo Switch 2!
Who are we kidding? I wasn't going to get it under an hour and 40 minutes anyway. But, whatever. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh.